I'm Jimmy Vivino. I'm a fortunate working musician. I've been 18 years with Conan O'Brien, music director and arranger, and now band leader also. I've been a working musician I've never done anything but play music. So, I've been lucky to keep working, and I also have a band with Will Lee, the Fab Four. We're dedicated to bringing the Beatles records to the stage, and that's our sort of boys' night out bowling, we call it. It's instead of playing cards, we play Beatles songs, and we don't have to write any songs, so it's great, And besides that, I just do a lot of outside work outside of the show, So show takes up a lot of time and moved me to L.A. and now I'm a Los Angelino, which is really odd for me. You guys, what, about 6 years I've been using these visual sound pedals and spreading the word as much as I can, I gave Leslie West one too. I gave him the clean boost because I know what he likes to do with it. Just blow the amp up, which it'll do. It'll do that. Oh yeah, put this in front of the amp, just turn it all the way up, right? Yeah, that's it, man. And then you just, yeah, it's loud. The good thing that I discovered right away about your pedals was that the visual sound pedals actually added tone. So whatever it is, the little magic guys in there, in the elves in there are adding tone. And of course the volume pedal too is like having a top boost. So if you use it active, and it's pretty quiet, as you can hear. It's not, that's a pretty quiet pedal.
Yeah.
That's important. The amps will be noisy, and if you're, humbuckers are particularly quiet. So, I don't find that it's like, certain pedals, people will say, oh, well, that's really only good for I recommend it for a Strat or the pedal has to work. I'm going to play 10 different guitars.
Yeah.
So it has to work for all of them. And that's important, which they do. I think they do fine. Now you could get more sustain by adding the fuzz level up. That's pretty classic, When they made it, the Maestro Fuzz had a booklet that came with it.
Okay.
That showed you how to sound like a clarinet.
Oh, no.
How to sound like a bassoon. The idea was for your guitar to sound like a woodwind.
Right.
So I think it had a square wave maybe or something, right? It was probably some sine wave or a
square wave.
Square wave. So the idea was that you were supposed to sound like a clarinet.
Right.
Of course,
Doesn't.
the Les Paul is supposed to be a jazz guitar too. I know that my one friend Jay calls me and says, "How, you seem to be getting the same sound. The opening of the show, you're playing that, but it sounds the same." Well, that might have something to do with the pedal. I don't know. Secret. That's my main pedal. That double trouble. In fact, they're all the guys in Chicago keep calling. Lonnie Brooks and his sons, Ronnie and Wayne, they keep, what's that pedal? Where do we get that? I said, well, I don't, it's a double trouble pedal. Double treble? No, double trouble pedal. Our other guitar player, Frank, he has, his pedals are all like old Boss pedals. Mm-hmm. So he had like two of those yellow Boss pedals right next to each other, right? And the horrid sound he was getting out of them. And one day I was fed up. I took one of these. I just went before sound check. I said, just take those and get rid of them and put this thing in there. And he walked, and I put a piece of tape that said, seek and destroy. So I said, if you want, just, if you're using your Strat or your Tele, you want to just bring the gain up, just put this on. And and his tone like improved like 100%. And he's got a really nice old, white piggyback bassman, like a 61, I guess it is, or whatever they made those blonde Colex bassmen. And he was just not getting a good tone because those pedals, they seem to suck all the bottom end out of the guitars, I think. Maybe there's something mid-rangey or...
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Well, it's an old sound. When this stuff was new, you know what though? When that stuff was all there was, we thought it was the greatest thing. That's the point. That today there's a lot of choices, and it's not like, there's a lot of pedals, yeah, and I'm sure everybody can get a good sound out of a lot of different pedals, but I do find that it's really nice to have as many from the same company. Because if there's a problem, you just call the guys up. No, really though, there's something about it, I think that you think about it when you make them, about them being in line together, what they sound like.
Sure.
I'm sure there's somewhere in the world a giant pedal board with all of your stuff on it.
Down at the office.
Yeah. Cleaned up. And that's both on. See, that's really great if you can do that.
Yeah.
You can clean up like that. Yeah. Can do some things. That's cool.
Yeah.
Feeding back. A lot of space in between those. Real primitive too. That's really old time stuff. Not like sample and hold or anything. That's really bizarre. I love it. They say Jimi Hendrix used to sit with his stuff for hours, to find sounds. And now we want instantly to step on the pedal and the sound is there. That's what we expect. But really, there's so much in there. Just this one pedal. Yeah. And this, putting a P90 on, all of a sudden, you say, well, maybe everything I said only applies to nothing, because now with the P90, I'm like, well, that's the best sound with this thing. It has a billion tones in It's a good little machine. We're not even that loud.
No.
You know? So, that's cool. There's so much to be found in them. Even by guys who have been using them for 6 years. You know, it's like, wow, oh, I didn't know that.
Well, you know what's
And if I got together with another guitar player and he started showing me stuff that he did, you know, I'm like, oh, that's cool, you know. But it wouldn't sound like that, his setting with me playing. So it's a real personal thing, you know.
What's
And
funny is having guys like you come in here, like, yesterday we had a bunch of great players come in, and they're showing me stuff that I hadn't heard before, and I designed them, you know.
yeah, because there's so much in there.
There's a lot in there.
Well, you design it with something in mind, right?
Yeah.
A certain sound.
Right.
Like a certain sound, not 12, 15 sounds that are in there anyway. You know, it's like has some extra gears in there, you know, you didn't know about.
That's
But
right.
of course, having
That's the beauty of it, though.
a P90 and then you know, a humbucker and everything else we tried, just, you know, really the basic three things are Telecaster, Les Paul, and, you know, Strat, and then a P90 Les Paul or, you know, Epiphone or something. But because a P90 is an incredible, I mean, it's noisier than anything, but that's part of why it does stuff, you know. And if you hit the back of the guitar, it does even more. Sweet spots. Well, you know, good stuff, man.